the global cyber outages that have caused delays and issues at European airports affecting travel, the media, and the London Stock Exchange website, among other things. And it seems likely that list is growing by the minute. Nigel Fair is a professor of cybersecurity at Monash University, and he joins us from Canberra in Australia. Sir, first of all, what do you make of all this, that this is taking on such a global dimension? I know Australia is pretty affected as well.
Absolutely. Australia's been heavily affected by that, and it's just coming to the close of our day on Friday. And a lot of organisations have not been able to function. We're talking our big major banks, our airports, airliners, all across the whole critical infrastructure sector has been affected, either no internet connectivity or very limited availability.
How long do you think something like this could take? I know that Microsoft says that they've identified the problem, I guess. They don't believe that there was any malicious activity going on. How long is this going to go on, do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, it's good that at this stage it's not being detected as malicious. But, we need to take an all hazards approach to the online environment when it comes to risk management. I'm going to say, I think in the next 12 hours, most organizations will get some connectivity back, but I think we're realistically looking at early next week for a full recovery of systems.
That's huge. I mean, 12 hours is an extremely long time, because we've seen from places like China, where we saw all those blue screens, all sorts of outages, the London Stock Exchange website. This is something that causes serious issues for public life all over the world.
Absolutely. We live and breathe our lives in the online environment, and particularly through mobile smartphones, whether it's watching news like this through a device, whether it's doing our banking, whether it's using maps, social media, and everything in between. We've just got so used to the commercial aspects of the online environment. And, we're already several hours into this, and we're seeing major organizations that just can't function at the moment. So, and still no remedy coming out of the big vendors saying, we think it's going to be this, and we think we're going to have it fixed by a particular time.
So for those of us who are not cybersecurity experts, or in general not great with tech, why does it take so long to fix this? We always have this vision that maybe you just need to turn it off and on, and then maybe it'll reboot itself. But it obviously takes a long time to find the problem and then actually deal with it.
Yes, and absolutely. I always favor the turn it off, turn it back on scenario in my day-to-day life, for sure. But if it has been an update that's come through either the crowdsourced cybersecurity platform, subsequently through Microsoft, it'll be lines of code that haven't been written correctly, or there might be a glitch in it. They need to go back and review all those pieces of code, all that software upgrade. The next step is they need to put it into a test environment. They need to test it from all angles before we even start thinking about putting it into a production environment, where a real life case, where it be an airline or a bank or something major like that, will be prepared to accept that update. And that's where the time is going to take, because these organizations are going to be super wary about doing any updates now until it's really verified as being stable.
And we're obviously seeing the big impact that all of this is having. If anything, what could be lessons learned from something like this? Are there ways to sort of foolproof the system? Are there ways to have a backup that maybe this wouldn't have such a great impact? What are things that could be done?
I think the lessons to be learned out of this start with the Risk and Audit Committee at the Board of Directors. And they need to be playing out all these different scenarios. So while the likelihood of this is pretty minimal, the consequences are huge. So I would like to think they would look at not just the cybersecurity aspects of the lack of availability of the internet to their customers and business operations, but an all hazards approach, playing out scenarios. What happens when there isn't the internet? How do we send staff home to work off laptops, off mobile devices? Anything and everything. Perhaps a sidewalk where a tractor has dug up the cable. All those sorts of scenarios to work out. If this happens again, how do we work around that? And what do we do to keep our operations running as best we can?
Do you think something like this happens because, mentioned the board of directors, for instance, because maybe managers become complacent? Do you think it happens because there's not enough specialists there? Do you think there's not enough risk awareness maybe on the part of companies like this?
I think it all comes down to risk awareness. Yeah, we all love the good of internet technologies, but organizations, whilst many are doing a much better job, many organizations are still not going through fundamental risk assessment of what could happen. So we all want the good, we're not necessarily investing in the bad. And we've learned today this is a major bad.
Nigel Farah, thank you very much for joining us from Canberra in Australia. I hope those tech issues get sorted out very quickly in your part of the world and in our part of the world as well. Thank you very much.
Huge IT outage hitting airlines and businesses all around the world. The White House says it is looking into the issues and impacts. Industry experts say it all appears to be at least partly because of a software update issued by CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity firm that has Microsoft Windows as one of its clients. The CEO of CrowdStrike says it's not a cyber attack. He says the issue has been identified, isolated, and a fix has been deployed. Still, a lot of people still feeling the impacts of this. Delta and American Airlines, they have grounded flights. Passengers clearly stranded all around the world, not just in the United States, but Europe as well. Tensions are high.
I'm so upset right now. There are 8 people in my party.
There's
8
13
people,
in ours.
$456 a ticket, and they're giving me $100 back. That is it. And we're screwed. This man is getting married. We have reservations. We have cars that we paid for. I paid $380 in a shuttle to shuttle everyone here this morning. They have been here since before me with 3 kids. I've been here since 3 o'clock in the morning. $100 is unacceptable. I am a good customer for Allegiant, and I feel like I'm being completely screwed over. This is bullcrap.
All right, with us now, CNN transportation analyst, former Inspector General for the Department of Transportation, Mary Schiavo. You can hear the frustration there. If the planes can't fly, they can't fly. I guess my question to you is, how dependent now are these airlines on these computers, this cyber technology? When an outage like this happens, how damaging can it be?
Oh, completely damaged. I mean, aviation has so profoundly changed in the last decade or two. I mean, without computers, there literally is no flying. I mean, even in in our little small plane, my husband's in my plane, it's computerized and it's a tiny little thing. And then to run, the worldwide airlines, airports, etc., it's just solid computers. However, the good news, as you mentioned earlier, is that it's not an attack. It's not a vicious attack. And this is what we've seen in the past. It's been, for example, when we had air traffic control outage, they were doing a patch with a software update, with a software upgrade. And the systems are so interconnected, between the planes, the scheduling, the reservations, et cetera, that if you have a glitch that isn't right, it can affect so many systems. It literally will take these airlines, probably all day today and maybe into tomorrow to sort this all out. And it's airline by airline. Some airlines will be up sooner than others. And, the lady we just heard is right. It is not right. I won't use her terms, but United States laws say that the airlines do have to give you a full refund. So if she paid $485 or whatever she said for a ticket, she has to get that back under U.S. law. And the Department of Transportation has been getting tougher about that. This is not a weather delay. This is a computer. And that doesn't count for excusing the refunds.
I want to ask you about CrowdStrike and other companies that are involved in these big contracts that span so many. I mean, how bad of a situation are we in when one company's glitch can make such a huge impact, not just on airlines, but on so many different things, affecting places like banks, people maybe not being able to get to their money?
Exactly. I mean, it's almost like preparing for a hurricane. When they're coming, everything's going to shut down because of the computers, electricity, et cetera. But in aviation, one of the things that's interesting about that is federal aviation regulations for the aircraft and for key systems and control services set on the aircraft, you have to have redundancy. So you can't rely on one computer, one system, one control service, one overall thing. You have to have the redundancy, but the computers and the systems on the ground, not so. So the ground outages can force, just as much disruption in the skies, even though federal aviation regulations for the planes require a lot of backup, not just one system.